Hey, it's Donnie. Sitting back, enjoying the evening. I'm home alone. Shelly's gone to Vancouver to see her daughter and deal with some stuff, which is all good. So I'm home alone for a few days. I got some beautiful fresh spotted prawns from my friend Adam, my best friend. He lives down at Saanich, Marion by Victoria. So he goes out prawning and crabbing and salmon fishing when the time's on. So tonight I'm lucky enough to eat some fresh prawns and bought myself a nice steak at the grocery store tonight. It's I think it's a strip sirloin, but it was on sale. It was only $6.99. I thought, what a deal! So I came home and marinated it and went for a cruise out to my parents' place to drop off some pallets. Like the wooden pallets that shipping stuff comes on, to help his neighbor out with putting some wood on it. So I did that for my dad and came back and peeled these prawns and cooked up this steak, and oh man, it was good. Like fresh stuff, eh? You guys ever want to come up and hang out with Donnie Walker in Canada? I'll treat you good and feed you, and I'm a good cook. I'm kind of a chef in a way. Not a real chef, but darn good. I can make good food. So yeah, come on by anytime if you're ever in Nanaimo, BC, Canada. Vancouver Island, or Fantasy Island, some people call it. Yeah, so now I'm just sitting back. I'll give you a little shot of my dinner. Here's my steak. A few prawns left. They'll be gone real soon. You can see down there the waterfront, sports field where the kids were, whatnot. Had a buddy bring me a 572 Husky. Well, he's sort of, he's a friend of mine, but he's my brother's brother-in-law now, actually, because my brother's woman, Deb, is brother's a faller, Brian, and known him for years. I fixed his dad's saws. Now I fixed his saws. But he had a new 572, and he was having problems with it idling fast and wouldn't settle down on an idle. So I'm like, wow, that's kind of weird. I don't know about that. And with these new auto-tune saws, I'm trying to figure out corrections with them in different situations. But the whole thing with that one was simply just the throttle wire clogged up. So if anyone out there with a 565, a 572, or even the 550s, the smaller ones, you have a problem with that, check your throttle cables. Where the trigger is, where you obviously use the trigger, the throttle cable pulls through, and you can see it just underneath where your index finger goes, or whatever, right? Just checking that it's not built up with a lot of sawdust. He was working probably a lot of fur, which is that fine dust stuff, and that stuff gets in everywhere. It's terrible. When they shave that bark off those trees to try to fall them, you get a lot of that fines build up in areas, and that was the situation with that. It was underneath the cable, was all built up, so that cable was holding the throttle open. He thought maybe it was sucking air or doing something, but no, it's just because of the throttle cable. So if any doubt with that, what you want to do, even on the older models like 372 or 365 or 390, 385, 395, any of the Husqvarna ones that have that throttle cable system instead of the old linkage that they used to have, the way to check it if the throttle cable is bad is basically undo the throttle from the carburetor. It's very simple. Open the throttle, have your filter off and stuff, of course, right? So you can see it where it's at there. Undo the throttle cable off where it turns the crank system or throttle shaft to turn it open, okay? Undo it and see if it snaps back to idle. And it should, unless the butterfly screw is loose or something, but I doubt it. It should snap back to the idle. If it doesn't, then there is something wrong there, but I doubt it. But if it snaps back to the idle, fine. Put the cable back on, then try it again. And if it doesn't snap back to the idle, you know you have a throttle cable problem. So go in and clean it out, where the cable goes through the little routing area underneath the trigger I'm talking about. I just said before. Or it's got a split in the cable, like if it was a used saw, like an older 372 or 365 or 390, it could be wore through the sheathing of the cable, and then you have that problem. But being that new of a 572, that's new, only a couple months old, that's the problem. And I've had that problem about 4 times now with different customers. So if you're out there in the logging world or bucking world and you have that problem, look at that first before you go and take it in the dealership and badmouth it or whatever, man. But yeah, check that out. It's a real simple fix. Just shoot some air up in there, get rid of it out of there, and it'll be fine. Other than that, the 572 Husqvarna haven't had a lot of problems. So far. It's pretty new still to the bush here. If there is any problems, I'm going to hear about it, because everyone in this area of Western Canada talks to me, because I'm about the only one that knows anything. A lot of these dealerships are lawn and garden places or mom and pop stores. They don't care about the loggers anymore. I care about the loggers. They're all my friends. We're united. And the tree guys. I really research and take care of stuff to help them out. If there's a problem, I'll know about it. So yeah, if you do have something, let me know. I had one the other day, which is unusual. Wasn't very old. It was for the Forest Service here up by Parksville. They have saws, obviously, for forest fighting and stuff, forest fire fighting and stuff, eh? And it was weird. It was new, and the primer bulb wouldn't work. It was getting stuck. I'm like, well, that's weird. This thing's so new. I'm thinking the only thing it can be is maybe some sort of restriction, so the fuel wouldn't return to the tank as you pump it. And the way the purge system works is it basically pulls fuel from the gas tank through the carburetor, then the excess goes back into the tank. I have to eat another prawn. I love these. Sorry about that. So, that thing, I was thinking about it. How can that be? What would make that do that? The only thing I come up with was restriction. I said, though, how can it be? It's so new. But you never know, man. I took that carburetor apart. I didn't put it on the computer and download it to the thing and try to figure out what's going on with it and what doesn't work. I thought, you got to be a mechanic still, man. You got to Oh, didn't mean to swear. You still got to check things out. So I took it apart. And my goodness, I couldn't believe it. The screen for the carburetor, the inlet screen, was completely plugged with this brown goo. It was weird. And I've seen fine sawdust clog up a screen. Or filter material from old stills when they used to have that foamy thing inside the fuel filter, which rotted, and then it would go into the carburetor, which was a poor design. But this one had this like brown gook. It's weird. So all I can figure is maybe from the factory they ran something weird through it, or it sat around and it created this blockage. So I cleaned that screen. I didn't download it or nothing. Why bother? It's a mechanical thing. So I fixed that. Cleaned that, I should say. Put it back together. And ran it exactly like I would with everything else. Even put a bar and chain on it and went out and tested it. Made several cuts with it. It ran perfect. And even did the reset. I think I told you how to do the reset with the Husqvarna. How you just basically put the tip in the log and just don't push on it hard to keep it up to kind of full RPM, and just drag it out for about 30 to 40 seconds and see if it changes its tune to work better. I've been successful with a few situations like that. Then I've been unsuccessful with a couple too, because there was more problems with it. So with any of the auto-tune saws of Husqvarna, first do your basic stuff. Do a compression check. That'll tell you if maybe a ring's stuck. Then do an air leak test, vacuum test. Check, make sure the seals, any gaskets aren't leaking. Obviously, that'll change the auto-tune system, because it's sucking air. It wants to compensate for that. And a simple thing like, clogged air filter, but that'll make it run rich, which will make it also compensate for that. So this stuff, people out there, you might think that it's a little bit stupid, but really it's good. Some people got a bad attitude, like they don't want this, they don't want that, you know what? But it's all going to be that way, and we're going to have to live with it. So I'm trying to make sure that I know the best situations where auto-tune Huskies are malfunctioning, that I know how to fix them, and with the M-Tronic, that I know how to fix them. The M-Tronic stills seem to be, I kind of think they're a little bit better system compared to the Husky, but they've had this situation with solenoids. The solenoid on the carburetor runs the whole fuel system. And I've had 2 or 3 brand new ones that wouldn't even run from new that failed, and they were the brand new solenoids. I forget what color. black, white, green, whatever. But I've changed the solenoids and they worked. One the other day, a brand new 661 would not run out of the box. I had to get it ready quickly for a customer. And I was like, oh my God, the thing wouldn't run. I'm like, do I have time to put it on the computer, try to figure it out? Or do I be a mechanic and figure out what's wrong with it? So you know what? Because I've had so many problems with those solenoids, I just switched that solenoid out. Put a brand new one in. The thing worked perfect. I believe the M-Tronic stills, when they run right, they're good. When they don't, people get mad. But that's one of their big hiccups, is that solenoid thing. The Auto-Tune Huskies, they don't have that system. They got a little bit of a different system. And I've had a few go bad, like it's just not running right. But I think the best thing with that is you got to Husky and Still keep up coming with all these new versions of updates. So what you need to do is make sure, if you got an older Auto-Tune Husky that ain't running right, take it to the dealership and get the new Auto-Tune download. Let them put it on the computer and download it so it's set right. If you don't know how to set it right yourself, but the manual setting isn't quite as good, I think, as the electronic setting. I might be wrong. That's where I'm going with it. And with the M-Tronic stills, it seems it's either the solenoid or the wiring. With the wiring system that M-Tronic has on the 201TC, the 261, 661, 462, all those models that have it, when guys are pulling on it a bit, or they break a mount, or whatever, those little wires are stretching and can get broken inside. You can do a ohmmeter test, like just see if the wire is connected from each end to end. It'll show good, but as you're running it, and you move the mounts and the stuff, the wire stretches, then it'll disconnect. I've had a couple like that. I had a situation with a customer of mine with the 661 before I don't know what happened there. I wasn't quite around the shop then, and my buddy and my brother, they had problems with this saw. The thing would like run good fine, then all of a sudden it wouldn't run right. So I went and used it. I took it out the woods. I bucked, oh my God, 20, 30 pieces of friggin' 4-foot hemlock and stuff. And finally the thing failed. Finally at the end, it just started to crap out and run weird. Like, well, that's weird. But I was really pulling on and pushing it. So what I was doing is in the vibration system, the anti-vibration, and the wires, I finally pulled it apart enough that the thing wouldn't run right. And probably the customer that owned it, he didn't run a good chains like me, with dull chains, so he's pulling and pushing hard. And that's not a good thing to do. But people do it, and then that's when it acts it up. So I put a new wiring harness in it, fixed it instantly. My brother had shipped it back to Still. They changed everything on that friggin' thing. They couldn't figure it out. But you know what? That's the way it is. You gotta watch the wiring on those things. So instantly now, when someone's got a broken handle or a broken mount and the thing doesn't run right, I put a wiring harness in them all. They're not that expensive. Solenoids aren't that expensive. And they are helping people out a bit on warranty with solenoids on those stills. You know, like if you got one that's like 4 months old, a month old, past the warranty, they're going to help you out. because they know they have a problem, and that's good of them. So if you do have a problem with anything like that, Auto-Tune, Mtronic, give me a shout. I'll try to help you out if the dealer doesn't, because some dealers just don't care, you know. They're into their lawnmowers and trimmers, and for me, I'm a pro saw guy, and I take care of my pro saw guys. So that's about it. I'm gonna get back to enjoying my dinner, my prawns and my steak. Go for a walk down on the beach in a little bit and enjoy the evening. So hey, y'all keep your saw in the wood, rubber on the road, stick on the ice. Take care. Bye.